So the next card that we're going to make in this class is this one here. We've got the leaf background. I've already glued it to the background in my card. It's done the same way as the previous card. That way it's going to have time to completely dry before we glue our leaves on. So the leaf dies that I'm using are these fun dies. It has an outline die, but it also has an inside die for the detail. So you can use them together, you could use them apart, or you can even just use this and cut basically windows into your card. So for the first paper, I'm going to use the detail ones inside of the outline ones. So you want to make sure that they're placed exactly how you're wanting them to cut. There is a little bit of wiggle room in there. And then I'm going to put my paper on. And because there's a bunch of detail in there, I do run it back and forth a couple times. There we go. So the dies do tend to stay inside that paper. Now I'm going to take the background out, and then it does get a little bit finicky taking these bits and pieces out, but I just take my die pick and poke them, and then gently take them off. And if you wanted to too, you could save the little detail pieces from inside and glue those down on a card. That would be really, really pretty. Haven't done that yet, but I think it would be really pretty. So there is one of our outlines. I'll do the rest of them off screen, but I will take the solid outlines and we'll die cut the next piece. So for that one, so the first one I did the orange background, and it's very little difference between the orange and the brown, but the brown has a more coppery look to it. So I'm doing the solid ones out of the brown. And because it's just an outline, I don't need to go back and forth. The detail is super simple, so I can just run it through one time. There we go. And then I'll show you what I'm going to do with this one, and then I'll do the rest of the other ones off screen, just because it's almost like watching paint dry to see the same thing over and over again. So I'm going to put glue on the whole outside, plus anything inside that could possibly stick out and catch on something. So those little ends there, I put glue on. And you can see there's a little bit of glue seeping out, but that's okay. This is the Distress Collage medium, so it's going to dry completely clear and it's going to be matte. So you're not even going to see where that glue is. Some of those lines are so thin that it's hard to get a small enough amount of glue. So that's one leaf done. I'll do the other ones and I'll be back in a minute. All right, the background is dry on here, and so are the leaves. So I'm just going to lay them out without gluing them down first, and then I'm going to glue them down. Now this way I can adjust them as I glue them or completely move them around to suit what I want looks wise. So I'm going to get that right into the corner. I'm going to shift these up a little bit as I'm gluing them down. And I'm putting a generous amount of glue on the back just because of the texture of that embossed background. I want to make sure that there's enough adhesive making contact with it. And then I'll probably put that acrylic block on there again to dry. I probably won't add my jar of beads because it doesn't need to be that heavy, but just something to give it a little bit of pressure to make sure. So I'm going to put that in a little bit so that it fits into a normal sized envelope. And I'm going to put this up a bit as well. So there we go. So I'm going to let that dry completely. So this one here, I chose not to put a thanks on the front. You absolutely could. There's definitely room there. You could also just put a sentiment on the inside of the card. But there you go. I love all the beautiful shimmer that you see on the texture of that embossed background.